This week will not go unnoticed. Emotions, connections, and even blockages, everything aligns to test your clarity and show what truly remains standing. Prepare yourself. The next few days do not form a straight, predictable line. Think of them as an energetic roller coaster, a journey with a very specific cosmic design, crafted to take us out of our comfort zone and lead us through peaks of euphoria and valleys of deep introspection. The goal of this week is not stability, but the test. It is a stress test week for our emotions, our relationships, and our plans, so that we can see, without a shadow of a doubt, what is truly solid and what was just an illusion. Our route is already laid out. The journey begins with a slow and deep dive into the waters of our sensitivity and our past. Then, we will be propelled to the highest point of the week, a peak of attraction, of charm, and of social connection. But, as in any good roller coaster, after the big climb comes the vertiginous drop, a direct encounter with a wall of reality, a mental break that will force us to face the limits of our plans. And finally, after the intensity, the ride slows down and takes us back to the station with an energy of cleansing, of analysis, and of organization, so that we can process everything we have experienced. The purpose here is not to predict the future, but to hand you the map for this journey. By understanding the theme of each day, you cease to be a scared passenger and become a conscious navigator. You will know when it is time to dive into your emotions, when it is the moment to open up to connection, when it is necessary to be patient in the face of a blockage, and when it is time to organize the mess. At the end of this week, if you cross it with awareness, you will not leave the same. You will leave stronger, clearer, and knowing exactly what you can trust. The Emotional Dive, Monday, September 15th. Our roller coaster does not begin with a vertiginous climb or a sudden drop. It begins with a slow and deep dive. The gateway to this week's energy opens on Monday the 15th, when the moon, the celestial body that rules our emotions, our intuition, and our past, returns home to its sign of domicile, Cancer. This is the moment when our internal compass turns inward. The outer world, with its demands and its noise, temporarily loses its urgency. What matters at the beginning of this week is what is happening in our inner sanctuary, in our home, in our history, and in our heart. The moon in Cancer is the energy of an emotional high tide. When the moon is in its own sign, it operates at its maximum power. Its influence on us becomes undeniable. Sensitivity is heightened. Our empathy increases, and we become like sponges, absorbing the moods and feelings of the people and environments around us. The number one priority of our system becomes emotional security. We seek what is familiar, what comforts us, what nourishes us. It is the call of our shell, the desire to retreat into our safe space, surrounded by those we consider family, whether they be of blood or of soul. What might you feel on Monday? A greater need for introspection, a desire to cancel superficial social plans and instead have a deep conversation with a close friend, or simply enjoy your own company. Memories may surface with unexpected force, especially those of childhood and family. Do not be surprised if you find yourself flipping through old photo albums or feeling nostalgic for a time that has passed. This is not regression. It is your soul revisiting its roots to make sure they are firm before continuing to grow. Your intuition will also be sharper, speaking through feelings and bodily sensations. The guidance for this first day of the journey is simple. Honor the tide. Do not fight against your own sensitivity. Trying to be hyper-rational or excessively productive on Monday will be like trying to swim against a strong current, exhausting and ineffective. Allow yourself to feel. If the urge is to stay home, stay. If you feel the need to connect with a loved one, call them. If an old emotion arises, welcome it without judgment. Let it pass. The wisest and most strategic act you can do at the beginning of this week is to take care of your emotional base. By honoring your need for security and nourishment, you will be charging your batteries and strengthening your internal structure for the peaks and drops that the following days will bring. The spark of connection. Tuesday, September 16th. After Monday's introspective and emotional dive, the week's energy changes dramatically. On Tuesday, our roller coaster engages the chain and begins the climb to its highest and most exciting point. The focus moves from our inner world and turns to the dance of relationships. The energy is no longer about what we feel in private and becomes about how we connect in public. This is the day of the spark, of magnetism and of attraction, courtesy of a harmonious and charming alliance between Venus, the goddess of love, and Mars, the god of action. To understand the magic of Tuesday, we need to know the dances. We have Venus in the radiant sign of Leo. Here, love is expressive, generous, proud, and a little dramatic. Venus in Leo loves to be the center of attention, longs for adoration, and expresses her affection in a warm and exuberant way. She is the queen who delights in the attention of her court. On the other side, we have Mars in the diplomatic sign of Libra. Mars is our energy of action and desire. But in Libra, he does not act with aggression. He acts with charm, with strategy, and with a constant focus on partnership and balance. Mars in Libra is not the warrior who breaks down the door. He is the diplomat who seduces the guard and gets the key. His motivation is the search for justice and harmony in relationships. Today, these two energies form a sextile, a fluid conversation full of opportunities. It is the perfect dance. The desire of Venus in Leo to be admired is perfectly matched by the ability of Mars in Libra to court with elegance and attention. Action, Mars, is guided by the pursuit of beauty and connection. Venus. The result is a day of immense charisma and social potential. Your confidence may increase. Conversations, especially romantic or creative ones, tend to flow with remarkable ease. It is an excellent day for a first date, for an important negotiation, for presenting an idea to a partner, or simply for enjoying social interactions that feel light, fun, and mutually appreciative. Today's spark is that of chemistry, of an attraction that is both intellectual and physical, of the joy of connecting with others. However, even at the peak of the roller coaster, there is a warning. The strength of Mars in Libra lies in its search for harmony, but its shadow is the tendency for peace at any cost. The danger today is to use all this charm and this energy of connection to avoid necessary truths. It is so pleasant to be in harmony that we may be tempted to agree with something that goes against our values, or to postpone a difficult conversation just so as not to spoil the good atmosphere. Remember, the goal of this week is to test your clarity. Use today's harmonious energy to build authentic bridges, not to paint over cracks. True connection, even that which is born from a spark, needs honesty to become a lasting flame. The silent preparation. Wednesday, September 17th. After Monday's emotional dive and Tuesday's peak of social connection, our roller coaster makes a subtle but extremely important move. On Wednesday, the car slows down. It reaches the top of the highest climb and for a moment offers us a pause, a panoramic view, an instant of silence before the vertiginous drop that awaits us on Thursday. Today, Wednesday, is the calm before the storm. Astrologically, it is a day without major aspects, and this is no coincidence. It is a gift from the cosmos. It is a day to breathe, specifically designed so that we can integrate the experiences of the last few days and consciously prepare for what comes next. The purpose of this pause is twofold. The first is integration, the deep emotions that came to the surface with the moon in Cancer and the new connections or sparks that arose with the Venus and Mars aspect need time to settle. Wednesday is the day to process, to look at the effervescence of Tuesday and ask, what of this was just momentary excitement and what has the potential to be lasting? It is the day to revisit the sensitivity of Monday and extract its wisdom. The second purpose is preparation. The universe knows that Thursday's challenge, the encounter with the wall of the opposition between Mercury and Saturn, will require all our clarity and mental resilience. Today is our opportunity to prepare for that test. How to use this day in the most strategic way. The guidance is clear. Focus on organization and the conservation of energy. The energy of Mercury in Virgo, which is still strong in the sky, supports us immensely in this. Take advantage of Wednesday to organize. Clean your desk, answer pending emails, structure your thoughts about the week in a journal. An ordered external environment creates a container of strength for our mind. By tidying up your practical life, you are, symbolically, strengthening your defenses for the mental challenge that approaches. At the same time, avoid overcommitting. Wednesday is not the day for difficult meetings, for emotionally draining conversations, or for social events that drain your energy. On the contrary, it is a day to withdraw and to conserve your life force. If you can, choose quietness. Read a book. Take a walk. The goal is to arrive on Thursday with a full tank. To enter the most challenging day of the week already exhausted from the eve is a recipe for frustration. Today's silence and preparation are your greatest asset for tomorrow's test. Think of this as the wisdom of the general who allows his troops to rest and sharpen their swords on the night before the decisive battle. The Wall of Reality. Thursday, September 18th. If Wednesday was the calm and the preparation, Thursday is the moment of truth. It is the great drop of our roller coaster. The day when the week's energy reaches its point of greatest tension and testing. Today, our mind, our ideas, and our plans meet a formidable adversary, reality itself. In the sky, Mercury, the planet of communication and thought, enters into a direct opposition with Saturn, the planet of limits, of rules, of authority, and of consequences. An opposition is a confrontation, a cosmic tug of war. On one side, our mind, Mercury, with its ideas and its will to advance. On the other, the rigid structure of reality, Saturn, saying, "No, wait, prove to me that your plan is solid." What you may feel on Thursday is the manifestation of this confrontation. The first symptom is a mental break. The clarity and speed of thought of the previous days may give way to a feeling of heaviness, of pessimism, of being blocked. Ideas that seemed brilliant may suddenly seem naive or impossible. Your mind may seem slower, more critical, focused only on the obstacles and the flaws. This is the voice of Saturn, dominating that of Mercury, forcing us to look at the raw facts, at the difficulties, at the hard work that our initial excitement may have ignored. It is not a good day for brainstorming or for creative thinking. It is a day for a mental reality check. This internal break is reflected in challenges in communication. Conversations today may seem difficult, heavy, as if you were talking to a wall. Your message may not be received the way you intended. Others may seem excessively critical, negative, or resistant to your ideas. Authority figures, a boss, a parent, an institution, may impose limits or say no to your plans. The energy is not one of dialogue, but of confrontation between what you want to communicate and what reality allows to be communicated. Trying to force your opinion or win an argument today is a lost battle. Saturn always wins in the field of reality. And this leads us to the most concrete manifestation, the limits imposed by reality. This is the day when our plans may run into a wall of truth. It could be the discovery that there is no budget for your idea. It could be a rule or a bureaucracy that prevents your progress. It could be the realization that you simply do not have the time or the energy to fulfill what you promised. Saturn, in this opposition, has the function of showing us unequivocally where our plans were unrealistic or lacked a solid foundation. It is a frustrating moment, but an immensely valuable one. It is the stress test that reveals all the weaknesses in our strategy. The guidance for this day, therefore, is not to try to tear down the wall. It is to stop and look at it. The wisdom of today lies in patience and in review. The no that you hear, whether from a person or from circumstances, is not necessarily a no forever. It is a no, not this way. Saturn is forcing you to stop, to review your plan, to strengthen your arguments, to find a more realistic strategy. Silence, listening, and reassessment are your best tools. Accepting today's limit is what will allow you to bypass it or to rebuild more strongly tomorrow. The final triage. Friday, September 19th. Our energetic roller coaster comes to an end. After the emotional dive, the peak of connection, the strategic pause, and the vertiginous drop against the wall of reality, the car finally slows down and returns to the station. Friday is the day to get out of the cart, to feel your feet firm on the ground again, and to process the intense journey you have just made. The energy of the day changes drastically. The drama, the excitement, and the tension give way to a need for order, for logic, and for cleaning. In the sky, the moon, which rules our collective mood, enters the practical and analytical sign of Virgo. And with that, our priority is no longer, what do I feel about this? And becomes, what do I do with this now? The energy of the moon in Virgo is that of the organizer, the analyst, the person who arrives after the party to clean up the house. Its gift is to look at a chaotic situation and see, with impressive clarity, what needs to be done. It does not get lost in big emotions. It focuses on the practical details, on the small actions that restore order and efficiency. After a week of so many ups and downs, this energy is a balm. It is the opportunity to take the mass of experiences and feelings from the last few days and transform them into something useful, into organized wisdom. Friday is, therefore, the day of the great triage. This triage happens in 3 steps. The first is to organize the lessons. Take a journal or a sheet of paper and reflect on your week. What was the main emotional truth that Monday's dive brought you? Which connection made on Tuesday proved to be truly promising? What was the flaw in your plan that Thursday's wall forced you to face? The act of writing and categorizing these experiences removes them from the field of emotional chaos and transforms them into data points, into learned lessons. It is the moment to be your own analyst. The second step, based on this analysis, is to cut the excesses. The clarity of Virgo is perfect for seeing what no longer serves. Perhaps Thursday's reality check showed you that a certain commitment is unsustainable. Friday is the perfect day to remove it from your schedule. Perhaps Tuesday's spark illuminated the superficiality of a social interaction. Friday is the day to consciously decide to invest less energy there. Today's energy supports cleaning, purification, the act of removing everything that is noise so that the signal of your true priority can be heard more clearly. Finally, the third step is to prepare the ground. After organizing the lessons and cutting the excess, what remains is your list of real and viable priorities. Friday is the day to create a simple and practical action plan for the following week. Based on this new clarity, it is not about dreaming of big projects, but about defining the next small, logical steps. After the intensity of the roller coaster, today's power lies in simplicity and practicality. It is this final triage that ensures that this week's intense journey was not just a passing emotion, but a transformative experience that leaves you more organized, more focused, and wiser. The roller coaster comes to an end. This week's journey has taken us through deep emotional valleys, peaks of electrifying connection, pauses of tension, and finally, back to the firm ground of clarity and order. We have crossed through the dive of the moon in Cancer, the spark of Venus and Mars, the silent preparation, the wall of Mercury and Saturn, and the final triage of the moon in Virgo. Each phase had its purpose. Every moment of discomfort was a test, and every moment of joy was a reward. The goal of this journey was never just the thrill, but the transformation. It was a cosmic stress test designed to reveal the truth of our lives. And the conclusion of this intense week is as simple as it is powerful. If you have gone through this week with awareness, you do not leave it the same. The person you were last Sunday, with your doubts and your illusions, has passed through a filter. The pressure of this week's events was designed to break what was fragile and to solidify what is strong. And the final result is the great promise of this journey. What is true stays. What has no foundation falls. Look at your life now, at the end of this week. The relationships, the plans, the beliefs, and the feelings that remain standing are your pillars. They are your ground. They are your truth. What is gone has made space. What has stayed has proved its worth. You do not end this week with less. You end with what is real. This week does not ask for perfection. It asks for willingness. What has endured within you is already proof of your strength. If these words have helped to prepare your path, anchor that certainty. Like this video, share it with someone who also needs this preparation, and declare in the comments your decision to cross what is coming with courage. I am ready, and don't forget to subscribe. The roller coasters of life continue, but together, we will always learn to be the conscious navigators of our own journey, equipped with the clarity and wisdom we have gained along the way.